Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I was browsing through YouTube and I noticed that Halo dropped a competitive settings review on their channel. It's about a 15-minute video, so I figured I would just record myself and get my first thoughts on it. But yeah, I don't know what they're going to reveal in here. I didn't even know that this was going to be a thing that they were going to be showing today. But that's fine because everything they've been showing has been hyping me up more about this game. I'm pretty happy with what they've given us so far. Before we get started, if you're new around here, make sure you hit me with that like, subscribe if you like my content. It really does help me out. But other than that, let's go ahead and get into this video and see what this competitive gameplay stuff is about.
Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Bravo and I've snuck my way back inside the 343 Industries studio to check out a world premiere of ranked and competitive gameplay, and I have the two best gentlemen to do it with me here. It's L-Town Sal. Of course,
I missed out on the Halo 3 Master Chief helmet.
Be with you again, man. And also Andrew Witt's lead designer on Halo Infinite. Guys, it's great to be with you today. I want to jump right in because, like we said, the world premiere here of competitive and ranked settings, and we're going to have gameplay in just a moment. But before we get into that gameplay, Andrew, I'd love to talk a little bit about the philosophy of ranked and competitive gameplay for Halo Infinite.
We looked at competitive settings the same way that we looked at the rest of the game. We kind of talked about it. We wanted to be very, very Halo to its core, right? And like uphold the pillars of Halo. We really wanted to make sure that this the competitive settings like competitive Halo, like home. Battle rifle starts only, no secondary weapon, no motion tracker, and no grenade hit ticks. So those are the baseline settings across the game.
Obviously battle rifle starts and no motion detector. That's standard, but no grenade hit ticks. That's good. I know a lot of people are kind of upset about the hit markers. Doesn't really affect me. It is what it is at this point. Every game has them.
Here, and I know a lot of
but that's good that they removed them in the competitive.
Halo over the years will be really excited to hear about these settings too.
Competitive game modes.
And also to see them in action. So I think let's go ahead and jump right into the gameplay right now. Of course, L-Town, this is going to be your gameplay that you've been so kind to share with us. This is going to be a full Pro Team competitive insights gameplay, which is pretty cool to see. Kind of all of you guys who have been going
so it's gonna be like like a full game
now here of Strongholds,
or is it gonna be like cuts of a game?
Those of you who've been playing in the Halo Infinite Flight weekends will of course have been able to get your hands on this exact game type, but we're gonna now see it for the first time.
That white armor
competitive POV with competitive settings, of course, also with some pro player point of view. So Sal, walk us through the opening here, Strongholds on Recharge.
So this is Strongholds. Obviously, you have to go for the other Strongholds, but we're going for mid control here and camo. And my teammates are mid-map, kind of forcing those two players into me. I get the easy double. I get the triple as well.
Where is it?
And apparently I get the overkill too. Yes, I do. So not a bad start. Complete control, and now I'm capping C.
That was a long gap in between the triple and the overkill. He might have just barely got that.
Like cash was exchanged to allow you to open up with an overkill here on this world premiere of competitive gameplay. But excited to be able to look at this gameplay here. I think one of the first things that we of course want to talk about is that Strongholds as a game type. Now, you were just talking about game modes, Andrew, and the fact that we have a little bit of different scoring mechanics here, which make a big difference in terms of the end game.
Strongholds is returning from Halo 5. Really thought that it did very well in Halo 5.
I like Strongholds.
Regarded by the competitive community.
Different game mode, but
on it in meaningful ways. And one of those meaningful ways is
takes a lot of communication.
How scoring works. In Strongholds, when you own two zones, you begin scoring. And now, if the enemy team captures any progress towards one of your zones, it stops your scoring run. So that way, you need to maintain absolute control over all of your captured zones to continue scoring.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah,
so it's going to just be even more. It's going to elevate that communication that you need when it comes to playing Stronghold. It was already like that, but it's going to be even more.
And even though they were halfway through the cap on that Stronghold, they needed, as you called it, like the drip time allowed the other team to win, and it felt a little bit anticlimactic. So I think a lot of people have already seen in the Halo Infinite flights the ability to stop
either way, I mean, that's kind of the same thing with like
is pretty fantastic to see.
Any competitive Halo game mode, you always got to kind of communicate
that equipment and make sure that you're using grapple to be.
Usually, if you're going by yourself, you're not going to win very many games. You got to go in with the team, and y'all got to be communicating and letting everybody know where the enemies are and stuff like that. When you're going to cap, all kinds of different stuff like that, as far as the competitive game modes go.
And how that impacts moment-to-moment gameplay throughout the entirety of competitive play. You're going to see a lot of examples of that, of course, in this game, but we should talk, guys. Andrew, I'll start with you just about the decision there and just how much that impacts the gameplay.
Yeah, we really wanted the game to be as competitive as possible, working with the Competitive Insights team to kind of make sure we measure up in that regard. And part of the things, one of the things we wanted to kind of focus on was
what did he just pick up?
Right?
What gun is that? That sidearm.
Pivotal to which is the better team that wins. So that's why we pursued that direction, and you'll see a lot of the outcomes here in terms of how that rolls.
I didn't get to play the flight too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had to kind of pick and choose my times. I think I played like maybe an hour to an hour and 30 minutes each day it was live.
Earned, and the fact that
given versus earned.
So I didn't see that while I was playing.
Yeah, so we wanted players to actually have to go out of their way and get info themselves versus like an indicator or UI telling you where players are and how weak they are.
Yeah.
So it's just more awareness and more skills and more thought process on this.
Yeah, that goes back to what I was saying. All of the competitive game modes in Halo have always been like that. You always have to rely on your teammates. And the way they change Strongholds is just going to elevate that.
Continually rotate and collapse on the opponent as well.
Yep, just using some good comms here, collapsing on Stronghold together, and nice bait and switching going on right here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another thing we should talk about too, as you're going to go ahead and get this kill back. Hydro, you're going to be able to pick up. We're going to see some sword and some equipment play. So this is probably a good opportunity to talk about some of the equipment balance in the game.
So right here, I pair repulsor and sword to get some creative shortcuts here. And that guy had no idea. So that movement, that shortcut.
I have mixed feelings about the equipment being in competitive, but I mean,
it allows you to make crazy plays like that, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many.
That was sick. I can't even lie.
You can creatively go from
that
all the way
repulsor. I think that's what it is.
Like you said, if someone is watching,
the way I see it is just like a nade jump without it doesn't obviously affect your shields.
And by the way, everyone's just running
away. But it's just like a nade jump.
Heads down at this point in the game as you're racking up even more kills. But that brings us perfectly actually to a camo pickup. And the first thing we'll talk about here is just the new mechanic, Andrew. Of course, people have seen it, but it's worth talking to you as lead designer on the decision there, of course, in conjunction with the sandbox team to make sure that the camo is actually pocketable and you can determine when you want to activate it.
Yeah, another thing I liked about the camo is that they went back to it being completely invisible unless you shoot, or I guess maybe throw an aid. That was, to me, that was the point of camo. It's getting the camo, running as fast as you can, maybe flanking somebody or just sneaking up on somebody quick. It kind of sucks when you pick it up and you're taking a couple steps. If you go too fast, it starts to deactivate a little bit. But I'm glad they went this route again.
What do I do? What is my combinatory effects based on what my current inventory is? Do I mark it for the other teammates to kind of come and pick up and contest with me? These are the kind of questions we asked of ourselves, and ultimately what you see here today is the fruit of those labors, right? And make sure that we tested that hypothesis and it worked.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to see. Just the term equipment on its own in the history of competitive Halo has been kind of a term that has had an ebb and flow over the years of how does equipment fit or not fit into competitive Halo. So to see how much it's not only being accepted, but I would even say embraced with things like clips on Twitter, Twitch, etc., has been pretty amazing. I'd love to talk about that quickly, just kind of the all-up philosophy of how you found this sweet spot balance with the equipment.
Yeah, like I was saying, I'm still kind of in the middle with the equipment. It's fun.
wanted to make sure that
I feel like it does have its place in the game.
Right? That's the skill gap and then the skill ceiling.
I don't know if that's going to be in competitive. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe once I play, I'll make a decision on that. But it doesn't look too game breaking, at least not yet.
Adds that skill both for newcomer players and also pro players like themselves. Like the experimentation and the expression was really important for us in development in terms of adding these things in and them fitting in with everything else in the sandbox.
Let's see them try to take it from us.
Sure, here's another camo pickup. Sal, you guys have really been on top of that camo and activated immediately. And probably the most interesting thing to talk about there, right, is the lack of grenade hit markers that player would have had in that situation.
Yep, exactly. So that player actually had no idea how much damage he was actually doing or if he was even hitting me.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that they took that away. That was a big thing in the older Halos too. If you threw a nade, you don't know if you hit them unless you see their shields break or you can see that it actually hit them. When you get that hit marker, it's kind of, it lets you know to push or not.
Completely differently.
In competitive, you gotta
motion tracker and grenade hit marker
communicate, or it's a guessing game.
To even spend those grenades, right? So it really changes the way that plays out. It allows you to have so much more power as a player there. You're burning camo, you're spending that player's grenades, and you're also taking that player out of the situation. There's probably at least going to be a trade there, and it really changes the way that all that plays out. Yep. Absolutely. Another thing I'd love to talk about here as we see more continuous control from Sal and Team Andrew is also just the dynamic between, of course, we've got the BR utility weapon that so many players will be excited to see, but we're also seeing Sal use a lot of Mangler. We're seeing some Commando. How you guys really thought about the dynamic between this utility weapon is really important and it is such a core part of the gameplay. However, the weapons on the battlefield are also a big piece as well.
Yeah, I think the Sandbox team did a really excellent job of making sure that all the weapons have a specific role in the game. the battle rifle being the utility weapon is really important to being for players to being viable off of spawn, right? They're having expression off of spawn. But we didn't want to have scavenging is so important to the game, right? And so we wanted to keep on having them scavenge the battlefield. How we did that was we took away that secondary weapon slot and have it be free, so it's only the battle rifle off of spawn. And so optimizers will want to fill their inventory, fill their pockets in order to be able to be as effective as they possibly can in a match. So going with that scavenging story of the map being very curated with very specific items and toys in the map, and filling up their inventory is super important.
Active camo available.
Yeah, absolutely. We see another.
I'm gonna pause right here. Probably should have been doing this earlier. One thing I did notice is this game. I don't know if maybe this was kind of purposely done because obviously they were recording this for this video. But the game mode seems like it's going fast. I don't know. Maybe the other team is. I don't know. Like I say, it could be done for the video itself. But the fact that you have to have the strongholds completely captured without anybody stealing them or trying to take them over, it seems like they're getting 250 pretty quick, or close to 250. They're already at 211. It's only been maybe 5 or so minutes. Oh, well, I'm about 10 minutes in. Okay, yeah. So never mind. Scratch that. I'm stupid. Let's continue. And by the way, I probably should have been pausing this earlier when I was talking, but I didn't think about it. It is what it is.
Camo grab here from Sal as well. And
This time I live.
nice job there. Going to be able to get away, and also, of course, be able to go away now with a grapple camo mangler, which is a pretty sweet setup as well.
Pretty ideal. Let's see what I do with it.
Let's go ahead and see. And at this point, of course, it's right now 216 to 137. One thing worth talking about with that new scoring mechanic, Sal.
Yeah, see, the time's not going. I know they said this earlier.
Let's see how you play this one.
The time's not going
takes down the first
until he completely clears this out.
Finish it, but instead go ahead and nice grapple.
I guess he's not going to clear it out.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. One thing we should talk about.
Yeah,
though,
the
at this point,
enemy's time's
even though
going
there's
now.
quite a gap, quite a delta between the scores in the game, you really can't take your foot off the gas. Whereas in Halo 5, you might be a little more comfortable because you have, as long as you have control with X amount of time left, you're probably going to win the game. But with the ability to stop everything, like we said earlier, immediately while just stepping into a stronghold, that kind of changes the way that competitive teams will play the late game of strongholds.
Yep. Especially with the new rule set where you could contest and stop the pausing for a little bit. Like you can't let your foot off the gas. You got to try to close out the game here. So just making sure we keep up the comms and the teamwork, just pushing strongholds together.
Yeah, absolutely, and you've done it so well here as well. And take a look at this play as well as you're going to go ahead and grapple him.
Unlucky.
Unlucky indeed, but it's just worth noting the fact that you do have kind of that creativity, right? I mean, never has there been in competitive Halo a moment like that where you could fly out of a door and then fly into an entryway like that and be able to just set up a play like that. So it's pretty special to see. And the fact that it balanced the way that it is, right, I'm sure was quite a challenge, Andrew.
Yeah, and it's funny he said, because that's what I was talking about earlier. I haven't checked on Twitter or anything since this was updated, or uploaded rather, like an hour ago. And so I don't know how people are responding to this yet, but I mean, to me, it doesn't seem too game breaking yet. Obviously, like I said, they probably specifically picked this gameplay just because it doesn't look overpowered yet. I'm sure people are going to figure out ways to use that equipment and break the game, basically. But like I said, it does look balanced. To me right now, I'm okay with it, but I'm going to have to play it, obviously, and see whether or not I really do like having the equipment in the competitive game mode. Because that's the main thing about the competitive game modes is it was, for the most part, bare bones. It's all about teamwork, all about communication. It's real fun to play with your teams, but if you're going in solo, it can suck sometimes. But yeah, let's see what else they show in this video.
For a long time, I'm sure.
Yeah, we tested a lot of different things, a lot of different settings, but we wanted to make sure that the things like the grapple and really all the equipment had that expression element, right? The things that are powering all those clips that you're seeing on the internet, we're all gleefully seeing on the internet. We want to make sure that it's important for expression with equipment. I want to do this, I want to do this and this. I want to repulse somebody and then follow up with that mangler melee or things I want to put somebody into a wall and knock them off the map. Expression is just paramount for some of the designs we've done in this game.
Certainly. I've seen some expression in the forms of being repulsed off the back of Silo there by the hammer many times in matchmaking. I've also
I've seen that
been on
as
the
well.
receiving end of overshield grappling hammer players on Behemoth. So I've definitely seen different forms of that expression getting the better of me throughout these weekends.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people online getting real creative with that kind of stuff.
In just a moment, you guys close this out. Yes, some celebratory needler shots to end the game. What better way to finish a match as well? 250 to 170 is our final score.
So I'm going to pause it right here. I'm going to see how long did that game take. It took from around the 150 mark, about 140 to... Okay, so it was about an 11 or 12 minute game.
Sal, you guys,
it seemed like it went by a lot faster, maybe because I wouldn't shut up and wouldn't stop talking.
Appreciate it.
We'll go ahead and take a look at the post-game Carnage report too, because there's some sweet PGCR stats, and some people will have seen a little bit of this in the post-game Carnage reports in the flighting, but a few things that are worth highlighting here. Of course, your overkill, but on top of that, you've got some cool things here in terms of defensive kills, offensive kills, also things like the max spree, which people will be familiar with, but there's some newcomers as well. Returning stats like shots hit, versus shots fired, but also one that you and I were talking about is also damage taken, which is a cool stat to have.
That's personally my favorite, because that is like the unsung hero. It tells a real story. Because some players might have the most kills, but they're actually not having the most influence on a map.
They're stealing kills.
Taken is part of that story where
that's me.
A person could be causing chaos and getting shot.
I usually have a lot of kills, or I can get a lot of kills, but I won't have a lot of damage.
Austin might have more kills, but I could be taking.
That's Warzone though. Halo's different.
Making it easier for him, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a commentator, as an analyst, the fact that we now have a piece of that story, if you think of the hundreds of thousands of hours of competitive Halo gameplay that have taken place, just the fact that we've never really had the story, Andrew, of damage taken and what that
There's only a few minutes left, and I'm going to see, are they going to show any more gameplay, or is that
like
it?
That is pretty cool to be able to see a piece of a Halo match on December 8th.
Yeah, that looks like that's it. Yeah, I like what I saw so far. I'm super stoked about this game, but at the end of the day, it's going to depend on what it's like when the game comes out in December, because what they're showing us here can be completely different as far as how the community plays it. But yeah, as of now, super stoked. Can't wait for December. With that being said, if you liked what you saw, make sure you like and subscribe, and let me know what you think about it in the comments. Peace.